You like this DJ look right now? Hey, what's up folks? Marcel here. Doing kind of a different video this week because I didn't really have anything planned. And normally I film my videos on Monday or Tuesday, and I use those days for editing as well. Then I'll post things on Wednesday. But I didn't have anything scripted or anything set up. But I did just get this awesome comment. So I'm going to read you the comment and then tell you what I'm going to do. So I got this comment from a guy named Cliff Roberts. If you didn't want me to say your name, I'm sorry. Too bad. One thing that has always impressed me about Tony's style was his use of floating licks. One of the craziest examples that I never quite satisfactorily figured out myself was that break on Bugle Call Rag from the album California Autumn. Are you familiar with that? Yes, I am. You seem to take this stuff very seriously and have obviously done a lot of homework. I personally would love to see and hear you take on that. Thanks again and keep up the good work. Well, that gives me an awesome idea. Basically, I have 2 days to figure it out, and I think I can do that. The only problem is I do have a lot of other stuff to do. Monday and Tuesday also happen to be my busiest Skype lesson days, so I'm going to try to figure this out, write it out, and maybe even perform it before 2 days are up. Also trying to do all my normal work stuff. So I guess the first thing I should do is I should listen to the song, right? So let's do that. All right, so I got my computer right here. That's why you're looking at the side of my face. That's all right. You could deal with it right now. Just take in all that patchy facial hair. All right, so like I said before, I've definitely heard this before. I mean, I've listened to this album many times. But let's do a little refresher. I imagine that there's a particular break we're talking about. So maybe that first break or something is real tough, and that's the one we're going to do. All right, here we go. So that seems fairly doable. Not easy, but doable. This is tough. Okay, so that's what he was definitely talking about, was that floating section, which sounds bizarre and tough. All right, cool. I'm going to stop right there. It's kind of an interesting break for Tony, because normally he's the kind of guy that, you know, either sticks to an entirely melodic concept, or he sticks to that kind of like hot bluegrass, you know, flashy kind of stuff. You know, then halfway through at that first stop time moment, we have this just giant, bizarre, right on cue, man. Right on cue, that's my cat. Come over here, buddy. Been a while since your last cameo. You want to say hey? Oh, that was just a sad squeak. I won't torture you any longer, even though I'd love to torture you for the fans. Now my shirt's all covered in cat hair. All right, so there we are, though. We have the segment that we're going to be working on. All right, cool. So it looks like the guitar break starts at around 35 seconds in. The solo ends at 110. I'm going to pull up a sheet on my tab editing program. I use PowerTab. It's free. So let's see what happens in the very beginning. And I'm going to try to walk you through my process of how I figure something like this out. So the first thing I'm going to do is, if I hit that gear right there, so I go into my settings, I can change the speed. And I'm going to put the speed down to 0.75 for right now. Yeah, so it's got 3 notes that I recognize from another lick. I don't have the lick in my head. I'm going to listen to it one more time. Oh, he's doing a lick specifically for the C chord there. He could be figuring that a couple different ways, so I'm just going to get one on paper, and maybe as I move forward, I'll get a better understanding of how he's actually playing that. What I was debating right there in my head was whether it's right here is the first lick. It can also be played right here. Or like this. Right, if you wanted to descend with it. Also, I know if I was a smarter guy, I'd be giving you the screen share of what this looks like while I'm doing it. The reason I don't want to do that is just because it takes a little bit of time, and I'm going to have to switch to giving lessons in like 2 seconds. All right, cool. So I have the first lick figured out. That gives me the first second. Sounds like he does a similar thing kind of down an octave. Yeah, another weird thing where this lick could be dropped in a bunch of different places, and I'm not sure exactly where he plays it, but where he played the last one is kind of a clue. I feel like he shifts back to get all those notes out kind of easily and quickly. Yeah, something like that. All right, what's up, gang? I just had a real quick little fried chicken break. I'm ready to get at it again. I did a little bit off camera here because I realized I had to charge the battery on my camera a little bit. I did 2 measures without you. That last line was syncopated and I didn't syncopate it. Anyway, yeah, so that's where I'm at. And now moving forward, there's kind of a weird thing at the end of this lick, and I actually stopped writing it out because I wanted to figure this out on camera. There's like this descending arpeggio. Yeah, that sounds familiar. So it's a major triad. So it looks like it's an A major tread, which is an interesting choice. Yeah, so he's using a pretty classic thing to do over the D chord right there. Basically, you have this D chord right here, and if you make a D7 chord, the note that's changing is on our B string. We have this 3rd fret on our B string, and we have 1st fret on our B string, and that's what changes from D to D7. If you know a little bit about chord types and how chords are made, you know that that's the root and that's the dominant 7 that we're moving between. Well, a lot of licks actually connect those 2 points. It's actually a pretty common move to walk down when those chords are happening. After that, you can do a lot of things to kind of lengthen the idea, and one of the really common ones is right, and then you'd be resolving over your G chord. But if you can create this thing that lasts longer and longer, it's a very cool thing. And Tony does it right here. He goes, I think it was what it was. It's got some weird climbing stuff going on here that's coming up real soon. Oh, that's what it is. It was included in my Triplet Licks lesson, and I believe I called it the rice triplet even. In this case, he's not using it as a triplet, but he's using the exact same phrasing element. 2 notes on a string using a pull-off, and then hitting 1 note on the string below. He uses it to ascend the strings, which is interesting because the lick itself descends, but he keeps stacking it higher and higher and higher. I think those notes are right. All right, I'm going to play this whole thing from the beginning again. So there's a couple weird moments where the note that I had grabbed or thought it was just, you know, a half step here or there. And I started hearing it with the recording as I found it, you know. And a lot of times I trust my expectations when I'm just filling in notes and figuring out how he does things. And a lot of times as I listen to it over and over again, I start trusting my ear a lot more. And I find these little moments where I've done something just slightly incorrectly. The next lick that comes up is definitely kind of a classic Tony, you know, flat picking kind of hot stuff lick. I'm not too worried about getting it exactly right because I've done so much of that stuff, but I am going to listen to it a couple times, you know, once again, like everything else, just to make sure it's really good. Yeah, okay, yeah, that is what it is. I think I have another lesson in half an hour, so hopefully when we finish, I don't know, more than just another line, hopefully we can get farther than that. I hope you can see, too, in all my, I'm sure I look silly as hell, but I hope you can see how much I use my voice too. Your voice is really a nice tool for transcription in that, you know, you can hear something and you can hold a note in your voice. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, that's kind of an interesting idea. He kind of repeats the same thing. There's a lot of these Tony Rice moments that sometimes people get wrong when they go to play back. And this isn't always the case, but it is sometimes the case. You take a moment like this where he plays, and you can play that a couple different ways, and most of it has to do with this hand. Now you can just do this with a pick, and that's what I've been doing this whole time. I've just been picking it like that. However, a lot of times Tony will grab the higher string with this finger. And you can see how that has a really different sound because it's like this high string is like really popping. You're like snapping it with that finger. As opposed to just with the pick. Even though you can't see my hand, I'm sure you can hear it. There's a way, like I said, poppier sound about grabbing it with your finger. I think that's how that lick ends too, by the way. You know what I'm really excited for is I'm excited for people to go find the recording and then tell me what I did wrong here. Because I'm sure there'll be little mistakes where people think, you know, Tony would have played it in this part of the neck or done this a certain way, or I don't hear him play that strum that you wrote there or whatever. Man, it sounds like he ends the whole thing super minor. Okay, so we're getting into that weird spot. The funny thing here is this kind of could not have come at a worse time. I have a lesson in 20 minutes. We'll get a little ways into this, and then I'm gonna have to take a break to do some teaching. There's the note. Jeez, what is going on there? Okay, so I think I'm gonna make some guesses here, and then we're gonna clean it up as we go. But I'm going to guess that those are the notes that Tony's playing, and then I'm gonna try to hear the next 4 notes. da, da. Okay, I think those are the next notes. What I found initially, it sounded like this. And I was just guessing that it's 4-2, 4-2. I might go back and revise that still. I don't know. But I think the next chromatic run after that is just 1, 2, 3, 4 on your G string. So time will tell if I keep it that way. I suspect some of those guesses may be a half step or a whole step off. And I'll have to go back and fix them just because I'm not being very careful as I get the rough outline of how the lick works. Tough. I'm gonna make some guesses though because I do have a lesson coming up, so I gotta be quick. Okay, I think his fingering is something like this. Small mystery solved on one of those notes being repeated or not. The answer is no. I was just starting a chromatic run in the wrong spot. So that actually fixes a big problem. Man, this is a weird little passage. Weird for Tony too. Not the kind of stuff you normally hear out of the guy. 10 minutes left to my lesson. Da, da, ba. Once again, using my voice sounding like a fool gave me the right notes. Definitely some minor pentatonic kind of stuff right after all that craziness. Still don't know if I have the right fingering, so I'm going to go back and see if there's an easier way. Oh man, I think I just got it. I think I got that hard part. With 7 minutes left to my lesson, I'm going to speed the recording back up and I'm going to try to play it along to it and see what it sounds like. I'm also not sure about the fingerings now because now that I play it more along with them, it feels like that's good. Also, it's gonna have to go a lot faster. So yeah, it's definitely up there. I don't think Tony's playing it any other way than the way I just wrote it out. Yeah, so that should put me at halfway through, right? Yes. Halfway through the break, and that's maybe I'll be able to tap out all of it today, and then I'll spend tomorrow recording it. A little bit of time has passed. I've finished with my lessons. In fact, it's dark out now, so I'm going to close my windows real quick. One thing I didn't say already in this is that I also have to edit this video, and I don't know how I'm going to find all the time to do all those things. All right, but let's not stress now. So it looks like this the beginning of the second half of the solo, he does something that's similar to what he did earlier over a C chord. One thing about this recording that's worth noting, the time is pretty loose, especially in other breaks, but in Tony's break too. You can really hear people playing a little before the beat or playing a little behind the beat, and it can make these kind of transcription scenarios a little bit of a nightmare. I feel like I'm working so hard on this tap, I'm doing a really bad job of talking. So I'm gonna do a little recap of what I was just doing. We finished that weird part. After that, he does a little walk into a C chord. C chord comes up, and he kind of does what he did previously, so that was all right. And then continuing, we kind of got this little melodic movement that's very familiar to something that's happened before. And then we have over the D chord, he does something very similar to what he did previously as well. So that kind of catches us all up. However, I just heard something very strange in the recording come up after that, and it's I don't know. It sounds like a punch. For those of you who haven't done recording before, sometimes in recordings you'll have this thing where they'll do multiple takes of a song, and then they'll go to splice something together. Let's say the first half of take 5 was good, and the second half of take 6 was better, and then at some point they have to put a seam where they put them together. But there's one kind of in the middle of Tony's solo. Either it's just a really big non sequitur, and it could be that that's just how he played it, and that's what I'm leaning towards now after having listened to it multiple times. But it's definitely a strange kind of thing. I'll show you why it's strange. So we're playing over this D chord right now, and there's a very Tony thing. He's actually already done it in the tune when he plays with that 7, right? Pretty rarely did he ever play that idea with those notes in other places. Don't really hear him play it, for instance. He generally doesn't do that, especially in his younger years when he was doing a lot more of this kind of stuff. He starts one of those, and it's interrupted by this bend. Now, I don't know about you, but when I do a bend, it takes a couple fingers. Maybe I can do it 2. As soon as I do it with 1, it starts sounding a little awkward, and it takes a lot more work. So that means he hammered on these 2 notes, and then somehow had 2 fingers on this string right away, to start up that bend. And then after that bend ends, you hear an open G string. And then you hear another bend. So what's on the recording is... Seems strange. I'm not saying that Tony wouldn't do that. Is it weird that Tony would come to that note and bend? No, he did that all the time. Is it weird for him to do that in that context where he's already kind of started another idea that he normally does and then to interrupt it with a bend? You kind of be the judge for yourself. I'll play a little clip. Maybe I'll slow it down, make it kind of easier for you to hear it. To my ear, it doesn't seem like something I've heard Tony do in a recording. I don't know. Yeah, I'm listening to it again. That first bend is kind of like it's in the background, like it's in the distance, like it's being faded in. I don't know. Maybe someone else is in the background randomly bending that note, and then Tony bends it right after. I really need to get on writing this tab and finishing it. So I'm just going to move on. And it's weird. I just want to keep listening to that one moment. Tony Rice conspiracy theories. Let's see what's happening. So after those bends that I think are weird, he kind of descends some minor pentatonic stuff. He does that for 2 measures, and then it looks like we're playing over a C chord again. I don't know, pretty standard stuff. Not anything I'm super shocked by. Alright, so I hope you liked this video so far. I know it's not the most exciting thing ever just to watch me try to figure out how to play a song, but the good news is I did figure out all of it, and I think it's pretty darn right. I can't think of many moments in there that I'm worried about being too incorrect. I think I kind of got at the root of what's happening in the solo. In any case, I'm going to leave my version the way that's easier to play fast, and I'm going to accept that is the way that the majority of us would ever look at this tab and use this tab. I'm tired. It's late. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow for the second half of the video. Hey folks, so welcome to day 2. Yesterday was Monday, today is Tuesday, so this video does have to go up to tomorrow. I took like 2.5 hours of footage yesterday, if not more, that I need to edit down to, I don't know, around like maybe 15 minutes. So yeah, today my plan is to try to perform the arrangement that I transcribed yesterday. I'm going to do that along to the original recording, and the original recording sits at around 150 BPMs, and honestly I just can't play it that fast. It would take me a couple weeks to probably work it up that fast if I could, and I just don't think it's worth it to try to force myself to do it. I think what's better is to play it at a more reasonable tempo, probably like 115 or 120, and then you guys can listen to it at home and it'll be easy for you to like pause it and look and see the tab, and I think that's just the better choice. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to slow down the track to around 115, and then you're going to see the performance, and I'm going to take a little bit of time to try to get a good take right now, but you don't have to watch all that. Here's the good take. So yeah, there's my entry into the 48-hour Tony Rice challenge. Just kidding. We're not going to call it that. That's lame. We're not cool YouTubers. What I can tell you about this tab is it was very interesting to try to do it in this time frame and then try to perform it. And there's some moments that I'm not sure I got exact, or there's some moments that are really hard to hear, which are like that in most recordings. But like I said, I just did my best, and hopefully you guys still like it. You can get the tab down in the description below. It'll be for free on my website. You can download it and try it out. Once again, that's Tony Rice's California Autumn Bugle Call Rag. Anyway, I love that I'm getting so many great suggestions lately. Even just today, I got a comment that was about some new G runs that I should look at and make another G run video. And I thought it was such a good idea, so I'm definitely going to do that. If you have any more ideas, please leave them down below, because these are the kind of ideas that really get me going and, you know, make me do something crazy, like what I did this week. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get to editing now, and hopefully I can get this done and post it on Wednesday. But there are a couple things you can do. You can scroll down, hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. You can also hit that little bell icon next to that. You can turn on notifications. There's a couple other places you can find me. That's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all the normal places. On Instagram, I also run a daily lick channel, and that's I guess account, and there you can get a new lick every single weekday. They're either jazz or they're bluegrass. The account is called Jazz and Grass. Pretty clever, right? Not really. The last thing that you can do is you can check out my website, lessonswithmarcel.com. I have a bunch of free stuff there. I sell some tabs, but almost everything is free. That's also the place you can sign up for Skype lessons if you're interested. If you want to be one of those people the last 2 days that keep interrupting my filming, then you can sign up on lessonswithmarcel.com. Anyway, I guess I'll see you next week, and hopefully I'm not in such a rush then. See you later.